We're a weekly gaming podcast where our mission is simple: to bring to light and discuss topics that have an impact on our gaming hobby, and at the same time, highlighting our diverse gamer community, also remaining dedicated to our origins.
Guardian down.
Join me, Todd the Gator, and my co-host Kingsley Mack as we invite a rotating list of guest co-hosts every week to join us at the Guardian Down Roundtable. And now, let's get to it. What's up, Guardians? Welcome to episode 365 of the Guardian Down Roundtable. In our podcast, we talk about news and topics that impact our gaming hobby, all while keeping a focus on our community. We go live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on my Todd the Gator YouTube and Twitch channels, as well as our Discord live stage. And every month, we try to invite a new member of our community to pull up a chair and share their story with us. And tonight was supposed to be one of our two new guest interviews, and that was Dadbot Hero. And apparently, I think he told me, I spoke with him Tuesday, he was moving, in the process of moving. And man, let me tell you, I know everything he's going through right now because I hate moving. I effing hate moving. And I just moved my mom and dad to a new house. I know exactly what he's going through right now. So apparently, I guess he just couldn't make it tonight. But we'll see what we can do in a future show and possibly have him back at a later show. We are a live video show, by the way, with an audio version available on Monday morning. We love the live shows, though, because we like getting input from our chat. So if you have some input, you have a question, anything like that, jump in the chat, talk back with us, and we may read it aloud on the show. Let me first say hello to my co-host from the great state of Utah, Mr. Kingsley Mack. Mike, how you been tonight, man? Everything going all right?
I think I need a drink.
Is it deja vu all over again?
I feel like there's some deja vu here, but it's okay. I'm doing good.
Thanks, man. Filling in for us tonight is one of our brand new moderators of our community, but he's been a really good friend of mine for a long time now. He's been on several past roundtable episodes as well, and he's filling in for us tonight. I'm going to just help in the conversations with us tonight. Please welcome Zombie Pops. He's back again. How you doing?
Always glad to be here. Glad to help out.
Thanks,
the only one I can.
The other Todd.
Not everybody knows.
The other Todd. We have three Todds. Not all the same age, but we have three Todds that I'm very good friends with in our Discord. So it can get confusing, especially on raid night.
One of the guys on the Wednesday night raid, he was trying to figure out which all Todds are Todds.
Yeah. Talking about McMaximo? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, you're just giving everyone's name out, are you?
Yeah.
Everybody knows McMaximo's name is Todd. He's already publicly posted it in the Discord.
Not everyone.
Okay. All right. Well, what's on the show tonight? We're going to kind of wing it a little bit tonight, but there's some stuff I did want to talk about tonight. First, I want to talk about some of the latest news about Sony. Since talking about, the layoffs with Destiny, their announcement that they're discontinuing physical disc, and the taking the movies down off their site, that people paid cash for that can't access anymore. All that stuff is kind of coming to a head. And the gaming community is furious right now with Sony, and they're getting a lot of pushback. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Also, Kingsley's been playing the new Black Flag Resync, and he's going to mention some of the new stuff that he's seeing in that game. We'll talk briefly about that. And then Zombie Pops, if there's anything you want to mention in the show tonight, brother, definitely mention it while we're talking, and we'll go from there. And my topic, before we wrap up the show tonight, I'm going to talk about Sony, probably picking up a theme right now. If you remember when they laid off all of Destiny, that they almost like the next day, they posted on Twitter or all their socials that they are looking to reinvigorate their live service games. And we were like, huh? Destiny was your largest live service game and you got rid of it. So what gives? I did a little digging, I did a little research, and I'm going to talk about what their strategy actually is going into their live service agenda in the somewhat near future. So we'll talk about that. After that point, of course, we'll get to our catch-up segment. We'll talk about what we've been doing, what we've been gaming since we last talked to everybody here. And I have 2 movie reviews that I saw at the movie theaters this week. I'll talk about those. And at the end of the show, if time allows, we'll answer questions from our community. whether it's in our Discord or whether people are asking us questions in our chat. So if you do have a question for us, if you want it in hard copy, go over to our Discord. And if you're not in our Discord, what the heck, man? It's discord.gg/Guardian Down Roundtable. And jump to the podcast questions channel in our Discord and enter your question there, and we may read it on the show live. Other than that, I think we're about ready to go. So if everyone's ready, let's roll.
Hello, everyone. Elmer Fudd Games here. They say it's hip to be square, but really, it's hip to be Guardian Down Round. Round is the shape, not like square. It's a podcast. I hope you enjoy it. It's changed my life. It'll change yours too.
All right. I want to talk about, before we get into our topics tonight, I want to talk about Sony and PlayStation. They have been under fire from all sides of the gaming community, it seems. Some due to canceling of physical games, but others due to the digital rights and the fact that they eliminated over 500 movies from their platform from expiring licensing rights that they refused to renew. So what is the latest news concerning all this? I know that, we just discussed the Stop Killing Games initiative last week, and I'm not wanting to revisit that part, but it seems the fallout has been swift, and Sony upper management, especially in the United States, is probably just wishing this would all go away and, direct our attention to some other drama in the gaming sphere. But first, there have been several social media campaigns against Sony. Anything from social media posts and YouTube videos, they have been getting heavy backlash. I'm talking major downvotes. Fans were spamming no disc, no buy, and moderators were getting frustrated with anything that Sony or PlayStation was posting out there. The Don't Kill the Disc petition, it's rapidly approaching 300,000 signatures now, Kingsley, not just 100 and something. The Sony sub-studios like Santa Monica, regarding, the new God of War that's coming out, they're allegedly sending out those panic tweets reassuring fans that their upcoming titles will still have physical releases to avoid that immediate blowback. Reports have emerged that PlayStation France has begun temporarily banning Twitch users who post links to the petition or type no disc, no buy in chat. And even though the EU has not passed any digital rights laws, other countries like Mexico and Brazil are actively reviewing game ownership and preservation laws right now. And I don't know if you knew this, but the Chinese courts have already established legal precedents allowing heirs to inherit digital gaming accounts. That is outstanding, man. Way to go, China. You'll never hear me say that very often, but that is outstanding. Industry analysts speaking out say that Sony will not change their mind and that gamers who are canceling their PlayStation Plus subscriptions out of protest will only make up about 1% of their subscription base. It's not going to be enough to impact their digital margins, and that's based on 500,000 cancellations, which has been reported. I actually downgraded mine to the very basic because I still want to be able to play online, but I'm not going to pay them any extra money for stuff, like any of the extra stuff I got with PlayStation Plus, the Mac Daddy plan. I just wasn't using it, one. And two, it just kind of gave me pause about ownership and stuff with games. And at least for now, I'm keeping my subscription, but I went down to the lowest tier I could to be able to still play my games online. There are the $1,000 PS6 rumors and how only people that will be able to afford them will be the most hardcore of gamers. And, they have to have money to spend. Also, there are flaws in Sony's digital infrastructure. First, here's the deal. If you move to another country, Sony's digital infrastructure will not allow you to migrate your account to the new region. You can lose thousands of dollars of PlayStation Network purchases and all your game libraries would be wiped or you couldn't access them. Basically, you'd have to start a brand new account and start over. That is freaking nuts, man. People move across the country. That just blows my mind, man, when I heard that. The second thing, critics are pointing out that the recent high-profile PSN account hacks highlight a very fragile ecosystem where users end up spending thousands of dollars on digital licenses that could get compromised or mistakenly banned by automated AI tools in the future. Then, of course, is the question of, quote, do we actually own the game? If licenses can be revoked like with the movie purchases on some PlayStation Network accounts, what's to say they don't do it with gaming as well? Just a little bit of other news here surrounding all of this. There's been major progress being made on PC-based PlayStation 5 emulators like Sharp Emu and Kite AI, which have successfully managed to boot commercial 3D titles like Demon's Souls and Grand Theft Auto 5. And like we talked about in the last couple shows, there has been a mass exodus to PC. They've taken some small-scale polls that suggest that nearly 50% of dedicated PlayStation players would consider switching to PC and Steam if physical discs are completely phased out. Now, historically, consoles were always the budget-friendly alternatives to PC gaming, but with the hardware prices rising alongside, the restricted digital pricing, the value proposition of a closed console ecosystem is rapidly diminishing, it seems. So that's the rundown in a big nutshell, all the things that are swirling around Sony's head right now, this big fiasco. But what do you guys think about this? Any comments on all that information that I posted? I know it's a lot.
I feel like we've talked about most of this already.
Well,
and also,
yeah.
I feel like you're making a much bigger deal. I think it's actually dying down. There's still way less signatures on the Save Physical games than there even are signatures for Bungie, for them making a Destiny 3.
Yeah. So, I think it's approaching about the same amount. It's getting close.
And if people are considering switching to PC just because they're taking away physical discs, well, guess what? You don't have that on PC either. So that's kind of a silly reasoning for switching. Yeah. And you're going to have to buy a $1,500 to $2,000 PC. So we talked about that already last week. Like going to PCs they're more expensive these days too, just like consoles, which look, I say go to PC, but it's not, I don't think that many people are going to switch because they're going to look at the prices and go, oof,
Yeah.
Also, you don't understand. I thought it was obvious, but like it's normal to not have game licenses when you go to other countries. This is not just for games. Apple has to do with apps. Netflix does it with TV shows. There's certain rules that certain countries can do certain things. So that's why you can't have the same game, the same app, the same TV show in all locations.
Okay.
So this isn't a Sony thing. Apple does that too.
Okay.
So I would not put that on Sony at all as like a point for,
So explain this to me. If I have a Sony, an Apple TV account. If I move to, let's just say I move to Europe. Say I decide to live in the UK for a while. Mm-hmm. So how would I rectify that? Would I? Well,
so you would cancel the billing with the American version. You'd start up the European one, and you may not have all the same shows.
Okay,
because different. Regions, there are a lot of shows that are in all countries, but you will not. That's why people will use VPNs also to get the British Netflix shows or vice versa. The American.
I tried. All right, I may have tried to do that to watch a few nature shows from the UK because they get them before we do, especially the David Attenborough stuff. And you have to buy a license in the UK. That's how you can't get around it. If you use a VPN to try to, you have to buy a TV license. And then if you buy a TV license, they want to know, well, where do you live? And you got to go, in the United States. I just want to watch your show, man. UK's got to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean,
UK to here, maybe it's different.
It's a slightly different topic. They can find ways to get around VPNs, but still the overall point is true that you can't just assume when you go to another country, you get to keep everything.
But here's the difference. It's a streaming network. What about your games? All those games you bought. So if you move, you're screwed. It's like thousands of dollars of games.
Well, I said apps, games, it's TV subscriptions. It's all TV subscriptions probably have it the best because there's probably a fair amount that all the countries have license to. Yeah. But you could lose all the stuff when you move to another country. I don't know. It seems normal to me.
I wonder if you could use a VPN that way.
You could potentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
the reverse way. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. What do you think about all this, Zombie Pops?
I'm not the biggest Sony fan.
You were an Xbox guy. I forgot. Yeah.
Well, I was an Xbox guy. Obviously more on PC now.
Yeah.
So, but I think, people arguing with companies, that's the only way you can get things to change.
Yeah.
Don't let the companies run over you. I mean, I get it. I don't know if it's going to do any good. Because like you guys were saying, different countries, you end up losing licenses or, rights and stuff like that to different shows and different games. And we have games available here that are banned in other countries and vice versa, which is probably one of the reasons why if you do change countries, you can't. The license don't transfer and stuff, I prefer physical disc, but obviously on a PC that doesn't happen anymore anyway. So I don't know. I think that people voicing their opinion about what they want, good on them. Hopefully it helps. I don't think it will, but hopefully it does.
Well,
that's what I said a lot about even the Destiny petition thing back in the day. I think it's awesome to have that, and I signed it too. It's good to voice opinions, but it's not going to change anything, probably.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
It could, but you would need 1 to 2 million people probably minimum before it changes something. But
okay, all right. Well, I was going to mention Xbox, but I think I'll wait till my topic later to mention what I've heard lately about Xbox. But I'll table that. No pun intended. But yeah, that's all. That's pretty much all I had. I did want to mention an announcement today. It was just tweeted out. In fact, I just got the notice about it. But it appears Lars Bakken has left Bungie after 20 years with the studio. Now, Lars Bakken, he's behind a lot of the Gambit. Then they made Gambit back in the day. He was really in charge of a lot of that. Also, he's been very heavily involved with a lot of the Crucible, and he's now, of course, was developing for Marathon because it's, it's a PvP game. So, but yeah, he left the studio. I'm waiting for Tom Cotton to leave. If Tom Cotton leaves, I'm going to be worried because that guy has been around a long time as well. He's one of the original members of Bungie as well, and he's always been surrounded by a lot of the PvP stuff. And he was one of the first to move over from Destiny to Marathon within Bungie. But yeah, I just want to mention.
So you're not worried right now with Marathon?
Oh, Marathon's got its own problems. I think for the first,
that's what I was saying. You're already worried. So,
well, I'm worried, but when I see talented people like this that we've known for a long time, with all the all the live streams and stuff they've done, to be leaving the studio, I'm like, we got a lot of brain drain here, guys. What is Tony going to do with this studio?
Mm-hmm.
It's not looking good. I don't know. It's not looking good right now. That's for sure. Are you guys into World Cup?
So I'll tell you real quick. I mean, in theory, yes, but not so much. I don't really enjoy watching any sports on TV. That being said, I like going to sports events somewhat, IRL. Last night, I actually went to a local soccer game, Real Salt Lake, and they were playing. It was like an exhibition game because they were taking a break because of World Cup, but they're playing some team from England, actually. And it was hilarious because I got to look up who it was, but it was like it was kind of like funny, yet also like irreverent, yet rude at times, but yet awesome at times, of like this whole like America versus Great Britain thing, kind of like the unruly kids fighting the parents and stuff. But like there was like these chants they were bringing in and stuff, like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. But our team's pretty good anyways. We won 4-1, which is a pretty good score in soccer.
It's a solid
they had a lot of fun going with friends. I was at a restaurant the other night for my sister's party, and they had who was playing? I think it was it Argentina and Netherlands or something? England.
Yeah.
No, it was Switzerland and someone. It was Saturday night. Anyways, I thought it said Switzerland, but anyways, I don't know that much about it. But the long way to answer that is, I'm slightly interested.
France and England play Saturday, 5 p.m. France and England is heavily. Actually, France is pretty well favored. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. I don't really watch much football / soccer, but I was just this is why my ADHD medication hasn't kicked in yet, because I just happened to see the scores next to the tweet. I was like, hey, you guys watch soccer? You guys watching the World Cup? Sorry about that. That was a really 90-degree turn there. Anyway, yeah, we were talking about Marathon. Marathon their numbers are really dwindling. I mean, they have the 21st coming up, which is Tuesday? Next Tuesday, I think. Is it right? Tuesday? Wednesday? Something like that. Sometime next week, the 21st, their major update for season 2 is coming. And that's when the full PvE game is going to be coming out, called Vault Breaker. I am going to give it a try. I don't know how long I'll be in there, but I want to at least see what they've done, what work they put in on that. I'll help with the numbers. I'll log in. I already bought the game. So I'll do that next week. But yeah, I think they dip below. Oh, man, they dip below that 2,000 mark into like 1,900 territory. That's getting scary. So I don't know if people are just taking a break or what's going on.
It's actually pretty evening out right now. The average high is about, and this is just for PC, but we do know most of it's on PC. Yeah. The average high is 6K right now to 6,500.
Okay. Usually the weekend.
And if you look at like the 1 to 3 month chart, it's not really. Yeah, it is trending slightly down, like a very, very light trend, but it's pretty even. Yeah. Kind of, I mean, Destiny's trending down more than Marathon is, but of course, Marathon's numbers are a lot lower.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking good for Marathon, and Bungie's numbers have gone down a little bit. You can tell people are getting through their Pantheon runs and
Destiny.
What'd I
Destiny,
say?
You mean?
What'd I say?
You said Bungie.
Yeah, Destiny. I meant Destiny. Sorry. Yeah, the numbers are going down a little bit, but they're not like. It's not like a cliff. It's like just people have played, they've said their final goodbyes, and the numbers are just starting to on that downward trend. And what's that look? Zombie.
I mean, people are playing through it. They're,
yeah,
it's low. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It is what it is. Yeah.
I need to jump into
this part of it.
That's all I had on the latest news from about Sony. Kingsley, did you want to mention the new Black Flag Resync that you're playing now and some of the updates for that?
Yeah,
you don't mind? I'm going to jump.
Yeah, I'll be different about this because I don't love being repetitive. And I've mentioned I've been playing it. I was excited for it coming up. I just wanted to give kind of like, now I've gotten further into it, a more mini review on the game.
Yeah,
I kind of knew most of this going into it, that it was a good remaster remake. It wasn't just some better graphics. Like, they changed quality of life things immensely for the game. And if you haven't played Assassin's Creed games, then you may not know all these details, but they still did a really good job having the old feel of it. And all the main missions are there, except for the switch to the real world stuff. They kind of, the last few Assassin's Creed games have been taking a different part in the full lore story. Like, all the games in general, they talk about being an animus, and like people in the real world can like go back in time and experience and live things. That's kind of how you get to be in these worlds of like ancient Greece or ancient the Caribbeans or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the lore part is changing a little bit in the newer games, and they've kind of changed to that new model when they redid this game. But the main game is all there, and they've even added some additional quests and stuff. They even added a few things to make the weekly stuff to come back, the quote live service. It's not really a live service game, but they are going to have like little weekly quests and bounties and ship battles you can do. So think of kind of like, they had this a little bit in the old one too, but it's so much better now, where you can kind of set up a board almost like you're playing Risk or something, where you kind of have, you buy little ships and they can do battles on bases or other ships, and you have to play it right. It'll say like, if you're going against this ship, it needs generally between 3,000 to 500 XP, and your ship can do about 3,000. So you may not win the battle. So you can build up and get a better ship or whatever, and then you let them run in the background. It says come back in 45 minutes or come back in 24 hours or whatever. And then if you won the battle, you'll get all the resources and gold and stuff. But that's just the mini game. You don't have to do that, but that's kind of like the live service aspect and all these little quests and stuff. But man, it feels so good. Just the controls, like they just made the movement feel more smooth. Everything feels less like sluggish. The graphics are amazing. And I don't know how Ubisoft does this, but like I noticed this with Shadows and other games I played since I've switched to PC, because I used to always play the Assassin's Creed games on PlayStation until, I switched to PC a few years ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's been several years now, but anyways, I don't know how they do it, but I have, I've been doing 4K gaming lately, and if it's a really high-end game, I can usually still get about 60 frames if I want to do if I want it to look really good, 4K and stuff. But most of my 4K games, I can even get 120 frames or more. But usually a lot of PC games, and you don't have to do this, but they have so many advanced settings and stuff if you want to tweak. But Ubisoft somehow does it in a way where they just know what your PC needs. Made it so easy to just go in. I didn't have to tweak anything. And I was already getting 4K. 60 is my minimum. You can kind of say, do you want to target for 60? I've never seen it go below. I've seen it go a little higher, but they kind of do an on the fly thing where if it's going to be higher, they almost lower the FPS back to 60, but give you better graphics. But then if it's going to be lower, they give you a little bit less better graphics, but keep it at 60. And you don't have to do that option if you want something else, but I'd rather have a consistent frame rate.
Yeah.
Because then it's not as janky moving around and stuff. And
makes sense.
Just so beautiful, so fun. I've been having really good time playing the game again and getting into all the quests of, this was an Assassin's Creed game that was kind of open world. You can still say it's open world, but it's not like it's a world where you can continuously go from one land part to everywhere on the islands. The only true open worldness is on the ocean. So when you land on the islands, there's little cities, you can go to Havana, Cuba, you can go to Kingston, Jamaica, you go to these different places, but there's bounds within that city. You're not going through the rest of the island where there's just rocks and jungles. You can a little bit if they have a mission that does that, but they have it. That used to feel janky. It used to feel like you've reached a wall and oh, it can't go that way. But now they just made it seem just so much more smooth and nice. And I'll tell you one last thing, and this is nice having Zombie on tonight too. I was playing the game the other day, and they have this thing where people can make, Assassin's Creed games have always had this, and other games do too, where picture mode and stuff, and you can take pictures and have it for yourself, but pictures can also go to the community. I don't know if that's the default option or not, actually. But I was looking around just coincidentally. Okay, good to know where I was, and then the picture right next to me, and it said Zombie Pops. And so I messaged him, and I saw it on my game.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's by default. It goes everywhere. I didn't change anything. I just took a picture.
Gotcha.
It showed up, I guess. So I didn't know.
Yeah, that was fun. How are you liking the game so far? Because I know you play it, obviously.
Dude, it's great. That's what you said. Those little mini ship battles and stuff, like the mini game ones.
Hey, Zombie, do me a favor. Sorry, man. You cut out really bad.
The microphone.
No, you cut out really bad. Can you repeat that where you started when he asked you how you were doing on the game?
Where did I?
Yeah, how you feel like.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. One of the only games I beat, one of the only Assassin's Creed games I beat 100% when it first came out. So I obviously enjoyed the first one. The little ship mini battle game. They had an app, a companion app for the original one, and that's kind of what it was like. So I guess they included it in the main game. But yeah, like you said, everything looks so much better. It's so much smoother. It runs like an Assassin's Creed game, a current one, I'm definitely enjoying it.
All right.
Yep. Ubisoft's still doing pretty good with that stuff. And like I've mentioned in the previous shows, when they've had the restructuring, at least they're not taking the gas off of their main IPs, which for them, of course, is Assassin's Creed and Division.
I know Amazing Taco King said he liked Unity more than Black Flag.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they ran the stats. This was the most popular game, so that's why they brought it to.
Yeah, apparently Discord's going through some mess right now. Must be what's going on.
No, I like Unity.
Unity was fun.
Yeah, I haven't really met a Black Flag game that I haven't, or sorry, an Assassin's Creed game that I haven't liked. So
I got you.
I didn't care much for the Valhalla one. It was okay, but
really, I loved Valhalla.
Yeah,
it was another big one, so maybe that's why.
Too in depth with the mythology stuff, I think.
I played.
But yeah, Discord says they're having API errors right now. If you go to their status page.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I wonder how many people are live streaming on Discord right now. Oh my goodness. That's not good. I played Assassin's Creed a long time ago, like on PS3, but I never took to that game. I don't know, man. Wandering around and murdering people and doing little missions and being sneaky. And I played that already. It was called Metal Gear Solid 2. I did that already.
But you want to play Grand Theft Auto?
That means you should like it because you've played it and it's good.
I mean, it was okay. 169 millisecond ping. Oh my God.
Do you know what that means though, Todd? Do you know what a good ping is?
That's a very terrible. I want a ping of like 3. I don't want 169.
Okay, you know.
That's ridiculous. No, I learned about ping when I was playing Battlefield games in the servers. They'd always give you what your ping was.
Yeah.
And yeah, you always want a short ping.
Oh, so that's why you know. Yep, that would make sense.
You always want a short ping. Well, okay. Let's do this while we have audio. Let's take a small break here.
And now, a news bulletin from our Patreon sponsors. In today's economy, gas is high, joy is low. But the Guardian Roundtable and the Guardian Downcast is on the rise. You're listening to Guardian Roundtable.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Future Gator here. Welp, in, I guess, the first time in 7 years, Discord is having issues. Hey, it's bound to happen. And, if you're a podcaster, you're going to run into these technical problems. So we had to cut the live show short. But I did want to carry on with what I wanted to talk about, my topic for the night concerning Sony. I did look for a This Week in Destiny from Bungie this week, but still nothing has been posted. They've promised us a final TWAB, but it's week 2 now, and we still have yet to get anything from Bungie directly. So I'll keep an eye out for it. I would love to do one last TWAB before it goes away forever, but it is what it is, I guess. So we will be right back, and I will bring up my topic concerning Sony right after this. Hey, Guardians, even though we're now the new Guardian Down Roundtable, all the ways you can contact us are the same. Just go to GuardianDownCast.com where you can email us, write us a review, send us a voicemail that we might air on the show, by the way, and even listen to past episodes where you can also search for a particular guest of the show. I use this every week to find past episodes that our guest roundtablers are from, so you can go back and hear them and hear their story. GuardianDownCast.com. Okay, for my topic this week, Sony is getting a lot of heat from everyone since their announcement of digital-only games, and not to mention the major layoffs of Bungie and the stoppage of support for the Destiny 2 game. Then, ironically, Sony announced a new focus on live service games when they just canceled their biggest live service franchise. So what the hell is going on at Sony right now? Well, I did do some digging, and I'll lay out their latest plans going forward. In a nutshell, Sony is getting tired of gambling massive amounts of cash on live service games that might flop. Concord comes to mind. They're pivoting to a much safer, hands-off approach to protect their bottom line. Now, here's the breakdown of what they're changing. They're basically passing the buck on cost. When Sony owns a studio, they're on the hook for everything: salaries, healthcare, office space, the works. If a game like Concord tanks, Sony eats these costs while still paying the staff. But by working with third-party developers, Sony avoids that overhead. If a game doesn't make money, that's the developer's problem, not Sony's. So what they've done is what I like to call the landlord hustle. As Sony realized that the real money isn't making games, it's owning the store. Think of it like a landlord collecting rent. They don't have to build, maintain, or risk anything on a game like Genshin Impact. They just sit back and take their 30% cut of every transaction happening on their platform. It's essentially free money with zero development headaches. Well, they used to do that with the Destiny game. If we bought silver through the PlayStation Network, I guess they would get 30% of the silver that I bought for buying cosmetics back when Bungie was wholly owned and not run by Sony. So they used to do it that way, But I guess when they bought Sony, then they took on all the development headaches with it. So if an in-house project fails, it's a PR nightmare involving studio closures and layoffs, and we know how that goes. If a third-party project bombs, Sony's risk is basically capped at the money they already put in and invested in the game. They can just pull the plug, walk away, and leave, and the developer basically has to deal with the fallout. It saves them from all the massive brand damage and corporate mess. The Jim Ryan era and the era of let's buy up studios to build our own live service hits, it's gone. The new strategy is letting outside devs take all the risk while Sony sits back, acts as the landlord, and collects the check if a game actually takes off. Sony's massive bet on flooding the market with live service games has officially hit a wall, and we're watching a brutal top-down course correction right now. The days of throwing blank checks at dozens of different multiplayer projects are over, and the fallout has completely reshaped their studio lineup, especially Bungie. Now, I'm not going to go over what happened to Bungie because we've beat that dead horse. We've talked about all the layoffs and how much money they spent and how all the big developer heads walked out with their nice big fat checks when they sold their Bungie stock back to Sony. They're basically shifting from volume to discipline. Sony's original goal of launching 12 live service games has been aggressively pruned. They've learned the hard way that you just can't force single-player studios to build retention engines overnight. Bluepoint Studios learned that the hard way, right? Here's the casualties. Naughty Dog has already reported that they walked away from The Last of Us Online, and a lot of people wanted that game, but they knew it would bleed their single-player teams. I mean, plus they're working on their new entry, Intergalactic, which we saw a preview of, I think, from the Game Awards last year. Then Concord happened, serving as a massive warning about launching into a crowded market with a real hook. Other prototypes at Bend and Bluepoint were quietly killed as well. I talked about Bluepoint, and Bluepoint got closed down. They were being forced to make a God of War Online live service game. They're good at making remasters. They're not good at making live service games. I never understood why Sony did that. But anyway, Bluepoint's gone. So here's the new metric. They're moving away from chasing those massive player counts at all costs. Now it's all about CLV. It's customer lifetime value, LTV. Keeping development lean and making sure a game is strictly profitable per player rather than praying for that mega hit. Maybe that's the reason why we're not hearing anything about a Destiny 3. As far as the PC goes, they have a two-pronged approach to that. The PlayStation leadership, they're not abandoning multiplayer entirely, but they are drawing a very hard line between their two styles of games. The single-player prestige games for, like the big blockbuster narratives like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn, Sony is widening their PC release window back out to 3 to 5 years. Not day one. They want to protect the console hardware and keep those games, feeling like you must own them for reasons, to buy a PlayStation and keep a PlayStation. I think this is the only direction Sony can go. Consoles are already in a very precarious state right now, especially with all what I talked about earlier in the show about how they're having problems with licensing and do we actually own a game? We talked about the Stop Killing Games initiative last week. All of this kind of comes full circle to consoles and how so many people are getting driven to the PC market now. The live service day and date, in other words, multiplayer, PC is going to be mandatory on day one. Helldivers 2, they prove that live service games need that massive immediate player pool to, that has that crossplay in order to survive. Ultimately, the era of loose spending and unvetted multi-million-dollar live service experiments is over. Sony is playing it incredibly safe now. They're outsourcing external partnerships to fill the gaps, while Marathon stands as the final high-stakes gamble of the original layout and plan. Speaking of Marathon, I want to share this real quick. This was just announced from Kotaku. The title of the article was Marathon Promises an Even Bigger PvE Mode in the Fall. I've talked about the new PvE mode coming next week on the 21st, and this is going to be somewhat of a roguelite version of the Cryoactive. That is what is debuting next week. But I'm just going to read the article verbatim here. Bungie has shared more details on upcoming changes to Marathon following mass layoffs across the studios. A mid-season update arrives next week with PvE, quote, roguelite version of Cryoactive, the extraction shooter's raid-like in-game map, which I've never seen, by the way. But the developers are promising an even bigger PvE experiment to come to the game in the fall. Maybe this is why Sony is still backing Marathon right now. Will it become the next Destiny? I mean, you got to kind of wonder, how big is this PvE mode going to be? They said Vaultbreaker is our very first experimental PvE mode. A new blog post reads this. We're excited for all of you to jump in and check it out, and we can't wait to gather up all of your feedback and data as we continue to work towards our full PvE mode arriving in Season 3. It continues down near the bottom. Vaultbreaker, which runs from July 21st through August 4th, man, that's only a couple weeks, is our final foray into an experimental PvE mode, and our ears will be to the ground listening to your feedback that will help us continue to iterate as we continue to evolve PvE into Season 3. Man, are they abandoning the PvP mode? I mean, they can't be doing that. I mean, is their PvE mode maybe going to be like Crucible was in Destiny 2? Will it be just a separate playlist off to the side? Continuing on with the article here, the tease suggests Bungie isn't waiting to find out if Vaultbreaker will be a successful mode. It needs PvE to work in Marathon, lest the game get retired ahead of schedule. Vaultbreaker is essentially a retooled version of CryoArchive to remove PvP and keep the rewards players can earn from it from messing with the rest of the game's multiplayer's loot economy. The promise of a full PvE mode suggests Bungie is working on some fundamentally recrafted version of Marathon that won't have human opponents. The rest of the post is essentially a preview of the mid-season refresh players are getting after what's honestly been a bummer couple of months. Vaultbreaker will give players who didn't complete CryoArchive and its boss fight a chance to experience some peak level and encounter design movements. It's also come with a pretty convoluted progression path that I'm not going to even begin to bother explaining here. I'm still reading from the article here. The sandbox is also getting tuned with buffs for the WASTR combat shotgun and nerfs for the D54 battle pistol. Players can now load into matches with only 2 of one or 1 of each. A new cap on consumables is aimed at making high-level engagements less repetitive. Quote, feedback is clear that spam is still an issue on Cryo and that bubble shields are flattening high-level combat, writes the development team. We'll see if that brings more positive vibes to back half of Season 2 than the first half. Season 3 with its new PvE mode won't arrive until sometime after September 22nd. What do you guys think of all this? Do you really think that they're trying to convert Marathon into a Destiny 3 type game? I mean, it's obviously not the same story. It's not the same game. But maybe this is their way of creating that gap that Destiny has right now. I mean, let's face it. There's really no live service games like Destiny 2. That's why so many people played it for very long, so for all these years, like myself. But what do you guys think? Head to our Discord and go to our show feedback channel and let us know what you think here. Do you think that the reason Sony is hanging on to Marathon is that they're taking a 90-degree turn into a PvE game mode? Man, this is like the opposite of Arc Raiders. I love Arc Raiders. Yes, you can take a drink. Arc Raiders is basically a PvE game that Embark built. And when they playtested it, the playtester said it was just too slow and boring. I really disagree. But they added the PvE mode in an attempt to create some drama or maybe some more excitement and danger on the playing field when you're topside in Arc Raiders. It's really funny. Marathon's doing the opposite. They started with the hardcore game, realized that no one wants to play hardcore PvP modes, and now they're shifting to more of a PvE, a full PvE mode. Now, I'm going to play the Crypt Breaker or Crypt, whatever that new PvP mode is coming, a PvE mode is coming next week. I'm going to jump in and play it, but it's a roguelite. And as Kingsley said in the last shows, he doesn't like roguelites. He doesn't like that kind of stuff. He wants discovery. He wants big worlds he can go looking around. Can you imagine by the end of this year, Marathon having huge worlds like Destiny did. Man, I don't know how they can pull this off, but I just got this feed from Kotaku just minutes ago after our audio went out in our Discord. They'll have it up and running tomorrow, but like I said, I wanted to make sure I talked about Sony's future for live service and the reason why they are yelling to the world that they're reinvigorating their live service. When in all actuality, what they're doing is they're not really going to support live service anymore. They're just going to stand back and offer all of the microtransaction commissions. That's what they're counting on. You buy something from Eververse and you buy silver, they're relying on that 30%. That's their strategy. That's kind of lame. To me, that's kind of lame. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up before we end the show tonight. But I want to talk about our catch-up segment before I go tonight. I want to talk about what I've been doing this week. I have 2 movies at the theater that my wife and I watched, and I want to give you my reviews of those right after this.
Hey, this is Beryl Barley, and you're listening to Guardian Down Roundtable.
Before we go tonight, I wanted to just talk about my week, and I had a couple movie reviews I want to mention that I just saw this week. By the way, we're going to see the Odyssey this weekend with my parents. We're hoping to anyway. I will definitely talk about that movie next week in next week's show. By the way, Miklo will be our new guest now next week's show. So even though this week went a little off the rails with Discord having issues, I did want to mention that we'll be talking to Miklo next week. And here's the thing. I have totally revamped my interview questions, and I hope you guys will tune in next week. I was really hoping to try those on Dadbot Hero tonight. And, best wishes to Dadbot. I hope his move's going okay. There's no hard feelings or anything. Things happen. It's just sometimes that's the way it goes. I hope he's okay. Anyway, talking about this week, my main gaming this week has been very limited. I've been working really hard. Business is just really crazy right now. But I have been doing one thing. I created an alt account on my Arc Raiders in the Arc Raiders game. I've leveled him up. He's level 75. He's max level. And I've filled the pod to, do the expedition. And I actually signed up to do the expedition because I wanted to see what I was missing. I've heard people say it's fun. I've heard people say it's a waste of time. I want to know for myself, what an expedition is like. I mean, I got to experience all the game, right? Anyway, my alt account it's based on, I get 5 extra skill points, up to 5 extra skill points, but it's based on total damage that I do to Arc or other players. But as you know, I've never shot another player in this game. I get all of the best PvE lobbies. And every now and then, I think if you guys saw my live stream of Arc Raiders last Saturday, I actually had someone camping one of the Raider hatches on damn Battlegrounds. I'll definitely be careful of that next time. But, it's no big deal. I had all the blueprints to make everything up again, but it's just frustrating that people decide to just camp at one of like 7 different spots on the map. Anyway, people got time on their hands, I guess. But yeah, I've almost done all the DPS to get my 5 extra skill points. I think I'm you got to do 100,000 damage total. And I think I'm at right around 80,000. So I've got 20,000 more to do by Monday. So I'll be working on that probably this weekend. We are going to be getting together to do something this Saturday. I think we're going to be doing another Pantheon run with the fire team. So yeah, I'll definitely be streaming that as soon as I know what we're going to be doing on that. But I have been watching Euphoria. That's been my series that I've been watching. There's a lot of sex in this show. But what's really great about this show, as crazy as it is each character, each episode kind of spells out the background of each of these characters. And the writing's really well done. The acting is fantastic. Zendaya just does a fantastic job. I can see why she got nominated for some awards on this show. Anyway, that's been my TV show of choice. I finished season 1 and 2. I'm on season 3, which I heard gets even crazier. My wife and I saw 2 new movies at the theater this past week using my AMC Stubs A-List membership. I can see up to 4 movies every week, any screen, any format. First, we saw a funny little film called Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass. And I think of it as a parody about a couple soon to be wed, and each agrees on a celebrity where they could have sex without any repercussions, right? The Sex Pass. Well, this actually happens with the husband and his celebrity crush, or whatever you want to call it. And the entire movie is about the journey before this wedding happens. And it has so many cameo appearances from many actors like Zoe Deutsch, John Hamm, John Slattery, Jennifer Aniston, Ken Marino, from Children's Hospital, Ben Wang, and even a very small part for Paul Rudd. It was hilarious. His part was really funny. My wife was in tears with this one. She was laughing so hard. But most of the jokes and situations kind of fell flat for me. Maybe I was just tired, but I just didn't really engage a whole lot with this movie. I really had a difficult time keeping my attention on it, but in the end, it was pretty damn funny. So I'm a bit mixed on this one. My wife said she would give it 4 out of 5 stars, but I'm a little bit tougher on movies, and I gave this one 3 stars. It was just okay. I'm pretty neutral on this one because the first half of the movie was okay, and the second half was definitely funny. So you draw your own conclusions there, and let me know in the Discord what you thought of it. The second movie we watched this week was, to me, a much funnier movie called The Invite. And it stars and is actually written by or directed by Olivia Wilde. Their supporting actors are Seth Rogen as her husband and Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz as the other couple. This is a story about 2 couples who are neighbors, I think in New York City, and one of the couples is invited to dinner. And what happens next is it's a mix of things. It's hilarious. It's a little unnerving. It's a little risque. It also has kind of a sad tone to it at the end, but if you watch it, I think the ending was pretty good. I don't want to ruin the movie, but I really think you'll like it, especially if you're married or in a relationship. It's a great movie to bring someone to if you're in a relationship or you're married. Seth Rogen, to me, though, stole the entire show because between lines, he would throw in little improv things. It just had us cracking up. I bet you there are a lot of outtakes on this movie where the casts were just laughing their ass off between takes. I give this one 4 stars. It was a very funny film, and especially today, I don't really think there's enough funny movies out there in the theater. So it was very refreshing to see this one. It will definitely lift your mood if you go in, kind of hating life. How life beats the hell out of you these days. As far as Destiny goes, we did take another break last week, and due to a couple of our fire team members are on vacation. But like I said earlier, we do plan on doing something Saturday night, and of course, I'll be streaming it as usual. All right, before we go, I have some input for some of our members in our Discord, and maybe a question or two. Be right back.
Hey, Gator. If I was to send a question for the show, where would I need to go?
Wow, great question, Native. Can't believe you thought of that. You can send us a question for the show in our Discord at discord.gg/GuardianDownCast and enter it in our podcast questions channel. Or they can email us at guardiandowncast@gmail.com, or what I really like are those voicemails. So just go to guardiandowncast.com, that's our website, and hit that send voicemail button at the very top or the very right side of the page. Believe me, you can't miss it.
Wow, Gator, there are so many awesome ways to send questions to the show.
Thanks, Native. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? If you have a question for the show or just want to make a comment about a past segment, send it our way, and we might read it out or play it live on the show. All the links are down in the episode notes down below. And later, Guardians.
All right, bro. Is that it? Because I'm done. I'm about to be out of here.
Yeah, okay. I'll Venmo you later. All right, we're back. First thing I want to do before we get to our questions from our community is we got quite a bit of feedback from some of our past shows, and I wanted to read out some of the feedback that our community shared. I will start with B. Leahy, which is one of our older members, and I always love his comments. I never quit playing Destiny. Yes, I do like shooting aliens in the face, but I also like to see big number go up. I've actually reached 549 and I'm pretty proud of it. Maybe I'll reach 550 later tonight. Also, I asked about finding players and you guys recommended the Owlbot, so I tried it. Results were mixed, but I finally did learn how it works and I'll be trying to use it more in the future, so thanks for that. Yeah, don't be afraid to use our Owlbot. Our Owlbot is our it's a sesh bot, basically. We use the sesh service. We pay for it. Our Patreon members, thank you patrons, pay for that service for our community where we can put games together, not just Destiny games, by the way. Any games, multiplayer games that you want. I think just about everything you can create game sessions for and find people to play. About Disc. Years ago, I read an interview with Bill Gates. He explained that the industry had a problem. To run the software they wanted people to run, they needed the whole country wired for broadband. But that obviously wasn't possible, especially quickly. The short-term interim solution was CD-ROMs and Blu-ray disc. But there was no intention of keeping that technology long-term. It just wasn't going to be needed. And frankly, the last thing companies worry about is people reselling their products. They don't like it. Hell, if Amazon had their way, there wouldn't be libraries. Business is in business to sell products, and they are generally opposed to anything that cuts into their sales. I don't know if you know this, but textbook publishing companies are now renting student textbooks for a semester at prices that are higher than what you used to be selling the price of the book. That is crazy. I was glad to hear you asked people for feedback as to how they play games, but I would love to know what percentage of people sell their old games. I never sell a game. About the never-ending question about Bungie and Sony shutting down Destiny 1 and 2. I asked Gemini about this. The answer is too long to post here, so I'll probably just email it to you. But the bottom line is that shutting down Destiny makes little sense for many, many reasons. About GTA 6, I've never been interested because I don't like the theme of the game, but I'm an old fart. However, about how big the world will be in GTA 6, according to the sources, the world in Minecraft is 7 times the size of the total surface of the Earth. Great show. Wow. Great feedback. Thank you, B. Leahy. I appreciate that. We had some feedback from our buddy. His name is Skippy to the Max. That's his nickname right now, but this is McMaximo. Regarding the console wars, Sony and Xbox doubling down on exclusive titles are really throwing a wrench into the machine. If I could play any game on any device, then of course I would buy a PC. But 99% of the games I've wanted to play over the years have all been exclusive to PlayStation. And many of them still are several years later. I didn't even play Destiny when it launched, but if I did, I'd had to go to PlayStation. The fact is, with prices going sky high, many gamers can't afford more than one device. So you choose which one has the most games you want to play. You want to play the new God of War and the new Halo? Well, tough noogies. As far as the Stop Killing Games initiative, again, this is McMaximo. The handshake between the developer and the downloaded or disc game is the most annoying thing in the world. How am I supposed to play my single-player games when the zombie apocalypse comes? Seriously, though, it is super annoying when you bought a game, but you can't play it because you happen to be offline for whatever reason. This is especially true if the developer is not selling or supporting the game anymore. What do they care if you have an illegal copy at that point? Yeah, that's been an argument with pirating these games and people using emulators to boot up these games on PS5. As far as single-player games, if a developer stops supporting a game, they should give you the option to download every bit of it of offline playable content like Destiny campaigns and strikes. Hard drive space is relatively cheap if it preserves a game you love. Online games are a bag of hurt. I don't think a developer should have to keep servers running indefinitely, but if they could, but they should still let you download the offline playable portions of the game before shutting the servers off. And there should be some sort of disclaimer as you're licensing a game. I'm sure it is there already, but it needs to be in your face, not buried in the EULA, the end user license agreement. I can totally understand the developer shutting down servers if there are relatively few players. But if the game has a huge following like Destiny, I don't know why you wouldn't just offer a small yearly subscription to keep the servers running. I would happily pay $10 or even $20 a year if it meant I could jump in for a few times a year. I'd be willing to bet that there are a lot of gamers who would even pay to keep it running, even if they never played it again, just for the sake of the community or the nostalgia. B. Leahy chimed in again. Today's motivational speech. I've been listening to podcasts and watching your YouTube videos about the demise of Destiny, and it seems that the narrative has become that Sony is the villain in the piece. I disagree. Sony is an extremely well-managed, highly successful firm with a history of innovation. The bad guys were Destiny. They took early success in video game design and innovation and ran it into the ground. You don't agree? Remember each week on Guardian Downcast when they would get to the TWAB and the known issues and Gator and Kingsley would say shit's broken and everyone would laugh? Here's an idea. Fix broken stuff as a number one priority. According to reporting, they were in serious trouble when Sony started looking at buying them, and they played a $3 billion con and sold Sony a turkey. I suppose you can argue that Sony forced them to cut costs that resulted in massive player defections to record lows, but something you have to remember. Businesses have to make money to stay in business. The idea that the clever move when player counts were bottomed out would be to greenlight Destiny 3 makes no sense. Here's what I think. Sony is going to have a Bungie rise from the ashes like a phoenix. If live service games are going to survive and grow, they have to operate with smaller staff and use AI and automation, and yes, some level of overseas production. I'm guessing Bungie's best and brightest are working on Marathon. Now, at a deliberate pace, they can build the game of the future. But you don't start with hundreds of people and try to build a game that can be run by a small number of people. You start small and you keep it small and grow at a reasonable pace. You use the latest technology and you invent even newer technologies. I'm hoping Bungie's best days are ahead. Thank you, B. Leahy. Appreciate that. That is just some of the feedback that we got this past week from our past episodes. I just wanted to share those. And I got a question here from Deadpool1 Merc. Are we too quick to label a game as dead after a rough launch? All right, here's my answer to this question. We are way too focused on those Steam charts. The only number that should really matter on the Steam charts is how many people bought and played the game on day one. Whatever that peak is that you see on Steam, that's their sales numbers. That's the number you should be looking at. Because if Sony sells, let's just say Sony sells God of War, the new God of War coming up, and they have 2 million people on the Steam charts playing the game. One, you got to remember that there's a PlayStation and an Xbox also that are playing these games. But God of War is a bad example because Sony being smart is going to make that a game you can only play on PlayStation. Like I said, consoles are in jeopardy right now. I think Kingsley's right. I think they'll make one more console, and if consoles are just not the cheap alternative anymore to PCs, I think they might stop there and just let things happen however way they happen. And they'll just probably keep making games that are proprietary to their platform. And then eventually, 3 to 5 years later, according to the articles I looked into, then release it to PC gamers. I don't know. We'll have to see how that turns out. But I think we are too quick to label a game as dead, even if it has a rough launch, because everybody keeps looking at those numbers. For live service games, I guess that's important. But as far as game sales and how many people are playing your game, the only thing that matters to Sony or Xbox or Epic or whoever is out there selling their game is how many did they sell? I'm sure I have contributed to this number. I've bought games from all of these, not Epic, but I bought games from Steam. I bought games from Xbox, from my Game Pass. I've bought games directly from the PlayStation Store on my PlayStation 5 Pro and set them aside. I know. I'm working on it. It's a problem, okay? But I set them aside because I'm involved in another game. Like right now it's Arc Raiders. That's a second drink. And until I'm done with Arc Raiders, and Arc Raiders is very much, to me, it reminds me so much of Destiny. Because when Arc Raiders launched about, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, they had so much demand for their game. I think it took them by surprise. I don't think they expected people to really jump on their game as much as people did. I heard that within the first 15 days, they already made their money up that they invested in the game. So they've sold, I think, 15 million copies, I want to say, of Arc Raiders. And yes, it is a live service game. They do updates every so often. It reminds me very much of Destiny. They nerf stuff. They fix you put patches in to fix stuff. Like there was a duplication glitch that people were taking advantage of. There's cheaters in the game. They've banned a bunch of cheaters. I mean, it's very much like Destiny. This is the problem with live service games, but here's the thing. I think Arc Raiders is going to get a Forsaken moment. Remember when Destiny was almost dead? And if you look at the numbers for Arc Raiders right now, you'll see a downward graph to like a little sliver, which is what Destiny was seeing before the update came out. That really doesn't matter. That just means people aren't playing right now because there's no content to play. They played through it all. I came in 5 months later, and that's why I'm still consider Arc Raiders a fun game to play, and I'm still playing it. But I'm getting to that point now where I've done just about everything in the game, and there's really no reason to play unless I just want to just go topside and just fiddle around and look into drawers and see if I get a rare blueprint by chance. And it's all RNG. It's all RNG, very much like Destiny was. So right now it's scratching that itch. But yeah, I think all people need to worry about and quit looking at Steam charts is how many games did they sell? That's all that matters. When Sony makes 90% of their profit from their digital sales of their games, yeah, that adds up pretty quick. 90% of 15 million copies of something is a lot of money, especially when they're charging $59.99, $69.99, or even $79.99 or $99.99, like with GTA 6 coming up. Anyway, thanks for the question, Deadpool 1 Merc. I appreciate that. Barrel Barley had a question here. Have you ever been to GCX? It's in Orlando this year. Well, Barrel Barley, I don't know how to break this to you. It's always been in Orlando. Well, it started in Tampa in the early years, and it was called Guardian Con. It was a Destiny-only event. I think Warframe would participate as well, but it's more of a general gaming conference now. There's going to be a lot of vendors there this year, but yes, GCX is in Orlando this weekend. Is this weekend? No, it's the 25th, I believe. July 24th and 25th. That's a Friday and Saturday, but it's being held at a different spot. It's at the Universal Orlando Resort in Orlando. That's even closer to where I live. I had some buddies of mine, old community members, that reached out and want to know if I was going to join them. I'm not actually going to the GCX proper, but it's within City Walk, which I know very well. I've had many anniversary dinners out there. I know all those restaurants pretty well. And I'm going to see if I can meet up with them and get a drink or get some lunch with them. So hopefully I'll meet up with them. It's the 24th and 25th, and it's at the Universal Orlando, what they call, it's the area right before the parks. It's right next door, by the way, of Hard Rock Live. And I've been in there watching comedians before. It's a beautiful place. So if you have the chance, you got a ticket to go, I'm really excited for you. It's going to be a lot of fun. I do recommend that you go ahead and buy a ticket to one of the parks as well. It's not cheap. Welcome to Orlando. The theme parks are not cheap, but I would recommend getting like a weekend pass. Maybe go on Sunday after GCX is over. If I was to choose between the two, there's two parks there. You have Universal Studios proper, and then you have Islands of Adventure. If you like roller coasters, and holy moly, do they have some great roller coasters, Islands of Adventure any day. They have the new Raptor coaster there. Holy crap. It's something you'll never, ever experience anywhere else. You literally are inverted for a long period of time and shot like a cannon. It is the craziest ride you'll ever get on. So I highly recommend, if you're spending the money to go to GCX next weekend, make sure you get a weekend pass or a day pass to Islands of Adventure. Fantastic park. Be sure to ride the Hulk ride as soon as it's the first roller coaster to your left as you walk in. One of my favorite parks. My wife and I had annual passes to it for the longest time. I really hope you guys have fun. But I will not be attending GCX proper, but I have been. I met a few community members from our community there about 4 years ago, I want to say, when it was at the Rosen Hotel in Orlando down on International Drive, which is just short speak for where the tourist strips are in Orlando, close to SeaWorld, I guess you could say. Thanks, Barrel Barley. I don't know. Are you going, Barrel? I didn't know. If you're going, man, let me know. I'll meet you for lunch, man. Literally, Universal Studios is a half an hour from my house. And if it's on a weekend and I'm not working, I'll be more than happy to meet anyone who's going to be at GCX this weekend. Hit me up in the Discord. Shoot me a DM. Let me know if you're going to be here. Maybe we'll get a group of people together and we'll have a nice lunch. There's great places to eat out there. Really good food. But bring your pocketbook. It's not cheap. Appreciate the question, Beryl. Hey, Guardian, our show runs on Duncan. I mean, it's supported by our community. And by that, I mean our Patreon community. We're nearly 100 strong now. And if you want to join an awesome group of people and get the benefits like a private channel with myself and Kingsley Mack and all of our other Patreon members out there, not to mention special badges in our Discord community, years of behind the scenes, special audio and video episodes just for our patrons, and it's really simple. Just go to GuardianDownCast.com and hit that Patreon button to find out more. You can also join us for free, so what do you got to lose? If you've received any value from the show today, keep those corporate sponsors out of our podcast by simply joining our awesome community at patreon.com/support Guardian Downcast. Later, Guardians. Hey, it's Future Gator here again. Another update. Man, things are moving really fast right now with Bungie and Marathon. And I just talked about how Marathon is going more full PvE coming up in September. Well, we just got this tweet today from Mr. Joe Ziegler. Hey, everyone, I've got a bit of an announcement to make. Today, Friday, 7/17, will be my last day at Bungie, and I'll be passing the torch of game director to the very capable and amazing hands of Del Chaffee III, who will guide the game forward alongside the creative director Julia Nardine. Both of them have been operating in strong leadership capacity for the team and are ready to guide Marathon into the next chapter with an even better and brighter future. I'm proud of them, and I'm excited to see them helm the future of this crazy little world we've created together. As for me, I'll be heading to something new, something else. Somewhere else, and we'll update you on where and what soon. I just want to say a deeply heartfelt thank you to all of you supporting me and Marathon in our windy mission to bring a dark and terrifying space survival frontier to your screen. The mission will continue in new and surprising ways, so stay tuned for what this team has in store for you. It's been a pleasure seeing all of the stories you've created, all the clever ways you found ways to murder robots and one another. Hopefully, as I move on to new things, you'll join me for those adventures as well. Much love to the Marathon community and to all of my friends and colleagues at Bungie. May we cross paths again. Keep it weird. Keep it real. I tell you what, this just gives me more proof that Marathon might be not the next iteration of Destiny, but maybe a compromise from Sony and Bungie. If they're not going to make a Destiny 3, then maybe they're going to make some type of PvE campaign mode, maybe with some lore. And I mean, like I mentioned, I played Marathon when it first came out. The lore is very rich in this game. And it brings me to another possible thing that might be happening. Allison Lures was kept with Bungie. Everybody was pretty much canned that did anything with Destiny 2 except Allison Lures. And I'm wondering if she is going to be behind some of the lore and storytelling with the new PvE mode in Marathon. I know, maybe a little cope. Yeah, I'll give you that. But you got to think, what is going on here? Because Joe Ziegler, he's a PvP guy. He came in here to direct the helm for this sweaty PvP mode that is Marathon, this extraction shooter where it's very, very sweaty. I mean, he came from other games that were very sweaty like that, very hardcore PvP stuff. So I'm thinking Sony may be making changes here internally with Bungie as far as the Marathon game. Maybe that is what we don't know yet. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes and why their numbers are dipping so low in their PvP version of this game. Maybe there's something Sony is really hoping that will bring players back to the game and experience the Cryo Archive and all of the deadly robots and stuff out there. Anyway, I just got that update just now. I wanted to make sure I shared it with you guys in this week's episode because next week it'll be old news. So there you go. Hey, Future Gator here again. I told you things are moving fast at Bungie right now. Just got another article titled Bungie quietly names a new Marathon general manager after a 20-year studio veteran retires. I talked about Lars Bakken retiring, been with the studio for 20 years. And this is the story pertaining around him leaving. Reading the article here, it says, Bungie's new Marathon general manager has surfaced through LinkedIn. While a veteran developer retires, Lars Bakken, after more than 20 years at the studio, Sony and Bungie's June layoff notice covered around 292 jobs tied to the company's Bellevue reduction, including senior positions connected to Marathon. The public filing listed a Goliath general manager as an engineering director, producers, art leadership, UX, and testing among the cuts. Goliath and Marathon's internal project name, which made the leadership gap hard to miss. Scott Taylor, now if you don't know Scott Taylor, he was one of the OGs as well within the Destiny and Bungie game. He had served as Marathon's general manager from 2019 in March until June 2026. According to his LinkedIn history and Bungie's game credits, his departure landed during the same month as the layoffs, although the redacted filing didn't identify affected employees by name. Bungie also hadn't publicly announced who would take the role next. Now, the Game Post, which this article is by, has spotted a new LinkedIn update that fills in that missing piece. Marathon general manager role now held by Bungie's head of product. Joshua Dean became Bungie's head of product in June of 2026 and is also serving as Marathon's new general manager, according to an update on his LinkedIn profile. Dean says he is responsible for Bungie's wider product strategy across current franchises, future projects, incubation work, and investment priorities. His Marathon remit covers product evolution, team organization, and player health, with the aim of supporting sustainable growth. Responsible for stewarding values, studio product and vision, and portfolio strategy, Dean's LinkedIn profile update reads, fully dedicated to driving holistic product leadership across the studio by connecting long-term vision, franchise direction, incubation leadership, and investment priorities into a coherent, sustainable path for Bungie's future. Serving as general manager for Marathon, driving product evolution, team organization, and player health in support of sustainable community growth, overseeing Bungie's incubation efforts, ensuring early development is aligned with Bungie's mission, strategic priorities, and long-term portfolio direction. That's a broad job at a studio already being pulled closer into Sony. Dean isn't arriving from outside Bungie either. He served as head of franchise strategy and product engagement from January to June of 2026, head of publishing from August of 2024 to January of 2026, and senior director of marketing strategy and operations for just over a year before that. Earlier, Dean spent more than 2 years as Global Destiny Universe franchise director. He previously handled platform strategy and global commerce at Bungie. His background is weighted toward franchise planning, publishing, market performance, and long-term product direction rather than hands-on game design. The same round of profile updates also confirms Lars Bakken is no longer at Bungie. Bakken retired from game development in June after 20 years and 9 months at the studio, ending a 28-year career in the industry. His final Bungie title was Senior Design Lead, while Marathon's credits list him as Senior Activity Design Lead. Bakken's work runs through several of Bungie's biggest releases. He was a multiplayer designer on Halo 3, worked on Firefight, an investment design lead at Halo Reach, served as a design lead on the original Destiny, and became Destiny 2's PvP design lead. He also received design credits on Shadowkeep and The Witch Queen. There's a lot of Bungie shooter DNA walking out the door. Though Bakken's LinkedIn update frames the exit as retirement rather than a layoff, his profile now lists him as a self-employed dog walker. Dean takes over Marathon's product leadership while Bungie reorganizes after the June cuts. His responsibilities now stretch beyond one game, connecting Marathon's direction with the studio's wider portfolio and incubation plans. What do you guys think of all this? Seems to be a lot of changes, and it's happening really quickly here. And another reason why I wanted to make sure I shared this with you guys today in this week's episode, because we've been taking a close look at Sony this week, and maybe we should also be taking a close look at Bungie this week. So another update added. Scott is no longer with Bungie. Never got an announcement about that. They kind of swept that under the rug, didn't they? I don't know. Time will tell here. We'll keep a close eye on Bungie's direction, especially with the Marathon game here in the next few months. And I kind of feel like this is do or die for Marathon. But what if they actually make it happen? What if that Destiny magic can be shared or duplicated in the Marathon game? Like I said, I know it's a lot of cope. And believe me, I would love some Destiny-like gameplay that is PvE versions instead of sweaty PvP. But we'll have to see. I just wanted to make sure I presented that to you guys as well, connected to Lars Bakken leaving and now the quiet leaving of Scott Taylor, which was another one of, like I said, another one of the design leads for the longest time with Destiny. I tell you what, there's one of two things happening with Bungie right now. Either one, this is the end, and we're seeing just the falling apart, the last few pieces of the Bungie studio before its demise. Or two, which is my more hopeful possible end to the Bungie name, is that this is a 180-degree turnaround of the Marathon game. And it looks to me from the people who have left, Lars Bakken, Joe Ziegler, Scott Taylor, these are all people that were with the PvP team at Bungie. Scott Taylor kind of floated around, but these are main PvP core people who designed a lot of things in the Crucible and Gambit. And Joe Ziegler, of course, you guys know, I think came from Valheim, a very, very sweaty shooter. But maybe this is the time where a PvE-minded group takes over. I don't know. You know, it could be either or. Or maybe something I'm not even thinking of right now. But I really would like to be a fly on the wall inside Bungie Studios right now. I really would. I'm gonna stop it there, guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties tonight. Sometimes, you know, it just can't be helped. And if I can't hear the other two guests on the show, then why continue with the show? So I at least wanted to finish the show out. I owe it to you guys every week. I want to make sure I produce some content for you guys every week. Hey, before we go, I want to give a really big shout out to our Patreon community. especially our Dungeon Champion patron, Deadpool1 Merc, and our raid bosses, Amazing Taco King, Jealous Gaming, and Frostbite. Hope you're doing well, bud. So whatever your game you're into these days, be sure to take breaks, hydrate, and touch grass. Mohawk Angel, community member for over 3 years and a $10 fist bump member for over 42 months. Thank you.
The path to victory is long, but there's always hope. Fight!
Thank you all so very much for listening, and whether in life or in your game, get your reps in. And later, Guardian.
Overtime. Let's do this.
Well, what's up, Guardians? Welcome to episode 365. 365. Man, that's crazy. Of the Guardian Down Roundtable. In our podcast, we talk about topics and news that impact our gaming hobby, all while keeping a focus on our community. We go live every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, on my Todd Together YouTube and Twitch channels if you're listening right now, and as well as our Discord live stage. Hello, Discord live stage. How you doing? Once a month, we do invite a new member from our Discord community to pull up a chair and share their story with us. We are a live video show with an audio version available every Monday morning, early. We love the live shows, though. It's the reason I do live shows is because I love interacting with the chat. So if you're out there in the chat tonight and you want some input, or you got a question about something, throw it in the chat. We might read it out aloud on the show, and we'll just go from there. But I like the input. I love the input with the community. I'm working my tail off all day. I'm not really in the Discord as much as I used to be anymore. And this is kind of my time to talk to everybody. So we did have a brand new member episode tonight. Dadbot Hero was supposed to be on the show tonight, but from what I understand, he is in the midst of moving, and his goal was to get everything set up for the show tonight. And I just figured something came up because we expect him to be on tonight, and he's not here. So our gracious friend and new moderator, by the way, to our community Discord, and of course, part of our fire team, our every week fire team, typically every week, Mr. Zombie Pops is here with us tonight. How you doing, man?
Good. Glad to be here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for filling in tonight. We got some stuff to talk about tonight, but first, my co-host from the great state of Utah, hopefully less smoke-free, Kingsley Mack. Mike, how you doing tonight, man?
Wait, less smoke-free or more smoke-free?
I mean, less smoky, less smoky. Not the Smoky Mountains
where wildfire smoke.
Not Smoky Mountains where zombies from. Less smoky Utah. Hopefully, Utah's gotten a little less smoky, Kingsley.
Well, in general, not really, but where the main population is, it has, just because of the way the winds are going. But still, to the south of us, where all the fires are, it's still pretty bad. I think the biggest one is up to 50% containment, so that's good news.
Okay.
They could take weeks sometimes to months, sometimes to stop.
Wow, you're telling me that? That's crazy, man. I know you said there was a website you can go to and you see all the active fires. That just, I don't even know if they have that in Florida. They probably do, but it would be.
You just go to Google Maps and type in wildfires.
It would not be impressive in Florida right now. We don't have a lot of wildfires going on. We get afternoon showers like almost every day now. So yeah, I tell you what, guys, we're not going to go, by the seat of our pants tonight, but I do have some stuff I want to talk about. And I want the guys here to jump in with anything they want to talk about in gaming. And so here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to talk about the digital ownership in physical games. I've been talking about that with Sony in our past couple shows, and Sony's kind of been silent about all this latest announcements, of discontinuing physical disc until, 2028 when they're going to do that. I think it was January. So I wanted to give an update on some pushback that Sony is getting from the gaming community right now, and they are getting roasted. Next, I'm going to next I'm going to talk, and I think Kingsley, you have some stuff to talk about as far as the new Black Flag resync. I think you had some stuff you want to talk about. Bring that up. Zombie, if there's anything you want to talk about, man, let's definitely get into it as well. And then wrapping up the show tonight, I'm going to switch over to my topic that I wanted to bring in for the show tonight. This is, when Destiny everybody at Destiny got laid off, and then you got that erroneous announcement like almost a day after from Sony saying they wanted to reinvigorate their live service offerings. Everybody kind of scratched their head like, huh? You just laid off your biggest live service game, and now you want to reinvigorate your live service. So I'm going to get into that because I did a little digging, and I've kind of done some research on what their strategy really is going forward. Not that people want to hear much about Sony right now, but at least I'm going to share it, and you guys can do with it what you will. After that point, we'll do our normal catch-up segment where everyone will talk about what they did in the past week or since we talked to them last. And at the end of the show, if time allows, we'll answer any questions from our community. So if you do have a question for us tonight, make sure you throw it in our podcast questions channel in our Discord community. Or if you have a question in chat and you're not in our Discord, why aren't you in our Discord? It's discord.gg/Guardian Down Roundtable. Join up, say hello. We have a very friendly bunch in our community here, and we've been growing it for 7 years now. Yeah, it's crazy how long we've been doing this. So, and if you want to send us an email or a voicemail, it's guardiandowncast.com. It's right there on the lower right-hand side of your screen if you are watching the show live tonight or on a replay. Miklo, how you doing, man? Miklo will be on our show next week, by the way.
I've been waiting to break in, but since you brought that up, no one can hear you yet still in Twitch or YouTube.
There's no audio.
I confirmed by trying to listen.
No audio
and
in
just
Twitch?
Confirmed again. And YouTube.
Okay.
I checked both.
Let me double check a few things here.
I only cut it right then because you specifically said hi to Miklo and he wasn't going to hear you.
All right. I will. Let's take a quick break here. We'll be right back.
I'm not good at math. What can I say? I kill bugs for a living, so.